Welcome back, guys. Happy Saturday. Hope each and every one of you guys are having a fantastic Saturday. Today, we're going to be doing a quick short video talking about some Modern Warfare. Yes, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Some settings for all of you Warzone players, multiplayer players that do play on PC. I've gotten a lot of questions. There's a lot of people with concerns on regarding as to what settings I use when I play Warzone and that Call of Duty in general on the PC, because they have these RTX 2070 cards, RTX 2060, 2080s, and then they're still like, oh, my game is lagging, my game is freezing. So right now I'm about to give you guys the best settings for 2020 for the game. If you guys have any questions, hop into the Discord. We have a bunch of people that can help you out there, or myself. And yeah, let's get right into the video, guys. All right, guys, just to start off, here we go. We're going to be at the desktop. Obviously, I got my desktop right over here. I know my wallpaper is amazing. It's better than yours. Just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. But it's a pretty dope wallpaper. I love that wallpaper. Had it on for a while now. We have our battle.net. I already launched the game for the purpose of not having you guys wait through this. And we're right here. So I'm going to cover a couple of different things. I don't want to make this video too long. But the first thing you guys are going to do is go into your settings and options. In terms of mouse sensitivity, controller sensitivity, that's something that whether you play on mouse or controller on the PC, that's going to be up to you guys, completely preference. You guys can set up what sensitivity and stuff like that you guys want on that. That's completely up to you. That's not what I'm going to talk about today, or keybinds. What I'm talking about by best settings, I'm going to be messing primarily with the general tab and the graphics tab right over here. So the field of view is basically how much you can see. It's self-explanatory right here, how much of the screen you can view. That's why you have a lot of people that play on console and they're like, oh my gosh, why can a PC player see so much? It's because of the field of view. Console players are here with a 60R all the way over here. That's all they can see, while PC players can see double that. So while you're probably looking at one building, they can see two. So if you have a medium beefy computer to a pretty powerful PC, you can keep this on 120. 120 works perfectly fine for me. I don't really drop that many frames. But if your computer is, you know, more of a budget friendly computer and it's not super high end, I would probably keep this around 80 at most, because then your computer has to do a lot more work to render all of that field of view state at the same time, and that can lower frame rate, lower performance, if your computer can't really handle it. Next, brightness, that's up to you. Obviously, all of that is up to you. If you want to skip the intro, blah blah blah, all of that's up to you. I just wanted to talk about field of view right here, and that was pretty much it. What's going to be important is the graphics tab. So on the graphics tab, this is what makes or breaks the game. A lot of people are asking me, Sygnosa, how does your game run so smooth? This, and the third, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. So the display mode, you want to have that on full screen. Some people, I understand you want to have it on, some people have it on full screen borderless or full screen extended window because they use dual monitors. I use dual monitors as well, but they want to be able to like go out and in of the game without having to actually tab out and stuff like that. But for those of you guys out there that are FPS enthusiasts, that want the best performance for their game and want their PC to perform the best that it can, I would suggest putting that on full screen. Full screen is gonna give you the best frame rates. The game is gonna run perform the best than these two. That doesn't mean you can't get away with them, but if you want the best performance, I will full screen. This is what most works for me. If you put full screen borderless and stuff like that, I've noticed a lot of like inconsistencies, and I don't like to deal with that. Obviously, my monitor is 144 refresh rate. So whatever monitor you have, you want to make sure this is at the highest refresh rate possible that you can have, so that you're getting your full experience with your monitor. And then your display adapter is going to be whatever graphics card you had. Obviously, if you have a RTX 2060, 2070, 2080, whatever it is, you know. If you have two, there's going to be two options there and stuff like that. So your render resolution, you want to keep this at 100 at most. This does affect FPS. The higher you put this, you can see the VRAM usage goes up. It will look cleaner and cleaner the higher you put it. But honestly, if you put it at 100, that's basically what you need for 1080p. And whatever refresh rate you have, if you put it up here, that's like if you're doing 4K, and you will see significant drops in FPS and performance if you put it any higher than 100. Now, like I said, if you do have a budget PC that's not as strong, maybe lowering down the render resolution from 100 might help you a little bit. The game might look a little bit uglier, but it is going to give you better frame rates, and it's going to run a lot more smoother. So you guys have to kind of play with that based on how expensive or how beefy your computer is. Now with that, render resolution, I have advanced. I have obviously my display at 1920 by 1080. This is going to be whatever your display is. If you have a 4K display, you have a 1080 display, whatever it is. Now moving on to aspect ratio, you can leave this to automatic. You don't really need to mess with this. Now VSync, some people use VSync because it helps them to limit that, where your screen is like tearing and it looks like it's lagging. Like you can kind of see over here, my bad, this tearing picture over here and stuff like that. Even though I have VSync off, this doesn't happen to me. This tearing doesn't happen to me. My PC is able to handle it. And I want you guys to know that if you do turn on VSync, it is going to affect your frames per second. It's going to lower your frame per second drastically. It's going to lower it a bit, but you won't have to deal with that tearing, so your game will look a lot nicer. Now if you have a computer probably like mine that doesn't that's not going to be cutting and stuff like that, if you don't have that issue where it's cutting out or anything, you can leave it disabled to get the most amount of frames per second and the smoothest gameplay as possible. But do enable it if you're getting a lot of tearing and the game is unplayable. I have a custom frame rate. Custom reason being because by default the game is constantly like overworking your graphics card, and you don't have to do that. When I'm not in the game, I don't need my graphics card to be going at like 300, like trying to push 300 frames per second. Like it's fine, it can just push 30. It just needs to run the game while I have it tabbed out. While I'm in the menu, I don't need it to be at 144 FPS or anything. It can stay at 60. It's just unnecessary use of power. Now when I'm in game, I put this on max at 300 because that's exactly, I need as much FPS, as much power as I can get from my graphics card. If you guys have a great graphics card, you can leave that 300. But if you have like I don't know, like a 1660 or 1660 Ti, or probably like an older GTX graphics card, whatever your graphics card is hitting, like let's say it's hitting 180 and it drops down to 150, 180 and it drops down to 150, then you can probably put a limit on it between those numbers, or like 150, stuff like that, to get a more consistent frame rate where your game is not like bottlenecking up and down. But these are my settings. You guys can copy my same settings. This has worked. I've actually given these settings to a lot of people. It has worked for most people, so you guys can check that. NVIDIA highlights, disable that, because that's just going to fill up your hard drive or whatever it is. It's just going to be overfilling your computer with a bunch of videos, because it's going to try to take a clip of everything. And shaders, the game automatically installs them. Make sure you guys have your shaders, because if they're not installed properly, they will affect your performance on your game. Display gamma, you leave that the same. Texture resolution, you guys want to leave that on normal. You don't want to have it too high. Remember, you want to keep into account the VRAM usage. I know some people have a 6 GB graphics card, some people have an 8 GB graphics card. The higher the amount of gigabytes, like my graphics card has an 8 GB, that's recommended. But if you have something lower, you want to make sure that, like, just know that the higher the VRAM usage is, the lesser the performance in the game you're gonna have. So you want to make sure not to max that out or have it super close to the top. Even though I have the room to push a lot of it forward, it's just a lot of unnecessary stuff that you don't need. I care about performance and making sure that I can play my game and outgun people and everything. So I keep texture resolution to normal. You don't want to have it too low, because then it's going to look like this, all nasty. You don't have to have it at max, because this is just for detailing. Texture filter anisotropic, sorry. That's just basically to improve texture quality. You can have that on low. Trust me, you guys will notice a thing. Particle quality, you guys want to have that on low. That's for stuff like explosions, RPG shots and stuff like that. The particles that go up in the air from like the sand and stuff like that, you guys want that on low. You don't need that on high. This you keep the same. Bullet impact and sprays enabled. Tessellation, you can have that near. The reason a lot of stuff you want to have it on near and low is because you don't need your computer to be rendering. You know how big the Warzone map is? You don't need it rendering the entire map with every single ounce of detail, because it doesn't matter if you're at a distance, whether the computer can render that distance at all. That's not necessary, because you're not over there in that part of the map. You just need to see what's in front of you. You need to make sure what's in front of you looks good, clear, and smooth. Your shadow and lighting. Shadows tank your graphics card a lot, so you want to make sure you guys leave that on low. You do not need that on high at all. Shadows, like, trust me, the game, what the settings I'm giving you guys, the game is still going to look amazing. Just please don't have those shadows on high. Trust me, because I already went through a bad experience with all of these settings, and I'm giving you guys the best settings that you can have. The cache spots, you want to disable that. You don't need to have that disabled because your computer doesn't need to store like all the shadows and stuff like that in a cache. Doesn't have to. Same thing with the sun. Disable. You can have it on enabled. Sometimes it might make it a little quicker. So this is kind of like if you want to. Me personally, I've had a better experience with leaving them disabled. Particle lighting, low. You want to have DirectX ray tracing disabled. I'm telling you right now, if you guys have ray tracing enabled for this game, your graphics card is going to be tanked drastically. And there's no need for it. You won't really be able to tell the difference. That just basically controls reflections on like water and stuff like that. You guys, like, you know, you don't need it. It's very unnecessary, especially in this game. It will tank your graphics card. Ambient occlusion disabled. You want to have screen space reflection disabled as well. Anti-aliasing. Okay, so this one right here, if you guys have an RTX graphics card, you will leave this at Filmic SMAAT2X. If you guys have any graphics card that's older than an RTX graphics card, then you guys can leave this on SMAA1X right over here. You will leave that right there. But if you have an RTX card, you want to make sure it's on Filmic SMAA2T2X. Depth of field, you can have that disabled because you want to be able to see everything in front of you clear. You don't want to deal with like depth of field where like it blurs out whatever is in front of you to focus in the background and stuff like that, because that's going to throw you off. Trust me. Filmic strength, RTX card, you leave that on 1. If you're using SMAA1X, then you want to have filmic strength on 0. But since I have an RTX card, I leave all this the same. Now, world motion blur and weapon motion blur, disable that because that is terrible. Like look at this. This right here is very unnecessary for you guys to have. Same thing with motion blur on the weapon. That throws off your gameplay crazily. And it's just, I don't even know why it's a feature that they have in the game, but it is. You want to disable that. And then film grain, this adds basically noise into your game like this. You want to have as clear as view as possible, so you want to make sure your film grain is on 0. And those are pretty much it, the settings. The only settings you guys have to worry about that are going to be different if you have a RTX card or not are going to be the anti-aliasing, the filmic strength, and besides that, and then obviously if you don't have an RTX card, you won't have the option for DirectX ray tracing, which you don't need to have that on regardless. Everything else is going to be pretty much standard. Remember what I told you guys about the render resolution, the frames per second, and most importantly, the field of view. Those are basically going to be your most important settings for everything that you guys do. If you guys have further questions and you guys need clarification on any of those things, remember, hop into my Discord. You guys can ask away on the comments of this video, which I will answer every single comment. Whatever questions you guys have, just ask them. Don't be afraid to ask. You guys can also hit me up on Twitter, on any of my other social medias. I will respond. Hopefully some of these settings help, and this resolves a lot of your issues. Whoever's playing on PC and is having a lot of lagging issues or feel like the game is not as smooth, even though they have the most powerful buff PC, hopefully this actually helps you guys. And without that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell icon to know when we upload our next video. And guys, this has been Sygnosa, aka the Nosa. See you on the next video. Peace out.